Hello, I'm Richie Snyder, Digital and Precision Solutions and Telematics Marketing Manager for CASE Construction. We're on site today at Titan Machinery in Des Moines, Iowa, taking advantage of this gorgeous day, and we're doing this outside. We'd like to talk about telematics. We're here today to talk about SiteWatch telematics. Recently, we have launched a brand new dealer interactive and customer-facing interface portal that went live just today. We're here to talk about that. I'd like to give you a brief overview of the new dashboard and talk to you a little bit about some of the key benefits that telematics provides you. All of our information that we're going to talk about, this is being recorded, so you'll receive this in an email. Plus there's some handouts that are on the site as far as the brochure and some other information that you're able to download. This is completely interactive, so please continue to ask questions throughout the session, and we'll save the second half to answer those questions. If by chance we run out of time answering your questions, don't worry, we will answer those in email. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and dive in and start showing you our portal. As you log in, whether you're a dealer logging in from the dealer portal or you're a customer logging in through CaseSiteWatch.com, this is your landing page. You'll notice an alert down here at the bottom informing you of some new features and a totally redesigned user experience, instructing you to click on the button here at the top to try the new website. So I'd like to go ahead and click on that and try this new website that has a brand new dashboard. I'll go over the highlights with you. You'll notice in the upper left, this is the landing page. So as soon as you log into SiteWatch, this is what you'll see. The upper left, we have the equipment summary that gives us a brief overview or a snapshot, if you will, of all the machines in our fleet. Right below that, we have a snapshot of our maintenance status, how many machines are due for service, what's in progress, what's not due soon, or unfortunately, what's overdue for maintenance. The upper right corner, we'll see our equipment search, so we can quickly and easily identify where machines are located anywhere on the globe. Below that, we have a snapshot of our fuel level. So it'll tell us where our machines are on their fuel status. Then here in the center, we have our most recent alarms, our most recent 100 alarms. And these are going to be listed in numerical sequence and telling us if it's a CAN alarm, a curfew, geofence, motion detection, and so on. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start diving into the menu. Click on the first one. Here's our fleets. So just like we saw in the brief snapshot, this is going to give us an overview of where our machines are physically located around the globe. Our maintenance tab, this is a quick snapshot in the upper left of how many machines that I have in my fleet, how many machines are overdue in a nice pie chart view, how many are due soon, how many I have in progress or not due. But we also can look here to the right and show me in a quick, easy view what the status of those machines are, how many are in each one of these service levels. I can also list the machines and understand which machine is in an overdue status or due soon. It'll give me the unit name, the fleet it's assigned to, how many hours are on the machine, how many hours it, in this case, is overdue for service. And I can also view it on a map and dispatch a service truck. It'll zoom in right for me and show me exactly where that machine is located. Our next tab that you're accustomed to, seeing reports, pulling reports. It's a lot easier to navigate now with this drop-down menu, and you'll see two columns. One column on the report types that we always have had, so it's no difference from what you're accustomed to. And then another another column that says scheduled, and we'll get into that in just a second. First, I'd like to pull a couple reports. So I'm going to click on engine hours. I'm going to drop down my fleet view here, and I'm just going to pick a couple. I'm going to pick on some of my machines in Tomahawk. 1, 2, let's look at 3, 4. I'll generate a report. And it gives me a nice clean overview of what the machine is and what the current hours are as of right now when I pull the report. Of course, I can export this to Excel and keep that for a later time. One new feature that we have with this user interface update, rather than going back previously, we'd have to start all over again to search a report. I can just switch to another report right here from this drop-down menu. So now that I pulled my engine hours, I'd like to know when the keys were cycled. So it's going to keep those same 4 machines that I selected, but now I need to search for a date parameter or date time frame. So I'm just going to scroll up, and I'm going to pick back, going to look back at some historical data. I'll go to from January 1st. I'll search to March 1st just for a couple months so I can understand what's going on with those machines. I'll generate that report, and now it exports that for me in a nice, easy to view format, so I know when those machines, the keys were cycled over that given time. Of course, I can still export that to an Excel file, but now that I've got that and I want to change to another report rather than going back and starting all over, let's go ahead and go to a fuel consumption. Again, the importance I want to stress is it kept the same parameters for me. It kept my date time frame as well as the units selected. So I'll go ahead and generate that report. And now it exports, or it displays it here nice and neat for me in a bar graph showing me how much fuel was burned and then what kind of utilization the machine was doing when it was burning that. Was it in work mode? Was it in idle? Was it in high work? Etc. Again, I can export this to an Excel file. Going back to my reports tab, I also have scheduled reports. This is important if you want to have reports emailed to you directly on a scheduled time rather than logging into SiteWatch and getting these reports manually. So let's go through what that means. So I'm going to click on Setup. We will create a new report. We can name it whatever we want. The important thing is the frequency we want to receive that report. Do we want to receive it on a weekly basis on Sunday at the end of the day? Or do we want to receive it on a monthly basis at the end of the month? So you can select which you want. Obviously your language, your time zone that you reside in, our user settings, whether it's international or US format. But here's the report type. What do you want to receive on a weekly or a monthly basis? So you can select one or multiple reports to receive. We'll go ahead and leave that blank. And then here from our equipment selection, I can select, or you can select equipment by your equipment list and only get reports on certain machines, or you can select by the entire company and get everything at once. The most important part about telematics is who gets the data. So once we set up a notification group, here's where you can select who actually receives these emails, who gets this information on that weekly or monthly basis. Once you have all those selected and filled out, we can save it, and then you will start receiving those emails on a monthly or a weekly basis. Go ahead and close that, and from here we'll go to the next tab. Again, this is a very high-level overview of the new dashboard. Under the Settings tab, we have 3 additional tabs. The first tab, under the Administration tab, is typically where a dealer would access most of the time to set up fleets, set up users, set up the groups, the notification groups for you. But we also have the AEMP feed. So we are compliant with AEMP 2.0, so we can export your data into a third party, so if you have a mixed fleet operation. Under subscriptions, this is where we can manage our subscriptions if we have a machine that needs to be renewed, or we have a new renewal to do, or activate a new subscription. And the modem. Underneath the modem tab is where our customized profiles are, so you can customize a profile specifically for maintenance or whatever fits your needs. But we can also have our security. That's where our geofences and our curfew alarms are. And we'll talk a little bit more about geofences and curfew alarms in a little bit. Go back to the dashboard. Now that we've kind of, at a very high level, gone through the dashboard, I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into what makes telematics important to you. How can you utilize this information? So when you partner with your CASE dealer, you have a second set of expert eyes that are monitoring your equipment and allowing you to have that peace of mind knowing that your machines are taken care of. Whether that be from planned maintenance, whether it be from low fuel, whatever we can monitor, you have that expert eyes, so you have that peace of mind. So I'd like to go into some of those examples. So let's understand a little bit better how equipment utilization can help you be more efficient in your job. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a utilization report. I'm going to select the same time frame that we looked at just a few minutes ago because I know that we are going to do another job in the same time, and I want to compare. SiteWatch stores historical data for up to 18 months, so you can go back at any time and look at machines utilization to know what your job site was like, what your fuel usage was, how your machines performed, things of that nature. So I'm going to select those same 4 machines. We'll get a backhoe in there and a wheel loader. So I'm going to go ahead and generate this report. And the first thing that it shows to me is when the key was on, what the idle time, the long idle, work, high workload, and transport. What's jumping out to me is this 721G here with idle time of, holy moly, 13 hours of the 28 hours that it was on over those couple months. So this to me asks more questions really than answers. Why was it idling so much? Did we have an operator that needs a little coaching on how to use the machine? Do we have the right equipment on site? Do we need to bring more machines in? How can we make him more efficient? So partnering with your data here and understanding that, we can better understand how to utilize what we have on the job site. Perhaps you have another machine elsewhere that we need to bring over to work a little bit more. So I'm going to switch to a report there and just go into my fuel consumption. Over that same given time, if I'm bidding another job, I can accurately and quickly know that these 4 machines, these were the fuel that they used on this given time frame. I used 83 gallons. That may not sound like a lot, but if I underbid and I don't have enough fuel and I have machines that are sitting around not running because I didn't budget for enough fuel, that time is costly. So the data that you can pull from any kind of telematics is very important to understand how to better operate your business. While I was talking about operation and optimizing it, when we partner with our CASE dealer, you're not only receiving alerts yourself on utilization, maintenance, and curfew, but your dealer can as well. So they can help almost be another fleet manager for you for a smaller operation or even a large operation to help you understand what's going on with your equipment, prevent downtime, and just optimize the best performance of your machine possible. I mentioned earlier about geofencing and curfew alarms. I'm going to quickly just look at a geofence. Geofences are basically an invisible line that you can draw around a certain area. You can do a circle or a trapezoidal shape like we have done here. You can be alerted when a machine is inside that fence and travels outside, or outside that fence and travels inside. Possibly this is unauthorized use. Maybe you know about it and that's okay, it's being transported. But this can help you understand where your equipment is going, when it's coming and when it's going. And we can also set up a curfew alarm so that you can be alerted if the machine is operating at a time that it's not supposed to be. Many cities will have an ordinance, a noise ordinance, that will not allow a high horsepower diesel engine to start up before, let's just say 6 a.m. And if your machine is constantly running at 5 a.m., you could receive some fines, and it'd be nice to know about those ahead of time, or at least coach your operators not to start the machine before a given time. With that, I'd like to tell you a little story about a young lady that came up to us at Con Expo this past year. She walked into our booth inquiring about a new wheel loader. Hers had been stolen. She was looking to replace it. Unfortunately, her telematics had expired, so she thought that she was out of luck. So rather than just doing the social responsible thing, we worked with her dealer, her local dealer, and local law enforcement and sheriff's deputies. We were able to reactivate SiteWatch for her, ping the machine, locate it. Actually, they did a flyover to verify the machine was physically there. Then the deputies went on site, recovered the machine, and to the best of my knowledge, it's operating today. So that's a fun little tidbit that telematics helped them not only recover their machine, but they're back in operation today, saving them the stress and the hassle of going through the insurance claim and replacing the machine, starting over from ground zero. So with that, I would like to open up for some questions. Bill, have we had any questions received?
Yeah, and this is where I think we would remind people you should have a question box in your panel with the webinar there. We encourage you to submit questions for Richie to answer here. Richie, the first question that we received here today, can I customize a profile? And how do I go about doing that?
Absolutely. That's one of the many benefits that SiteWatch has. It allows you to customize the profile specifically to your operation. I'll give you an example of a maintenance profile that we'll customize. So I will go into our settings. I'll go to our maintenance profile. And since this 1021 is the first one listed here, I'm just going to pick on him and I'm going to make a copy. That's fine. I want to make a copy of him. Now that I have a copy, I'm going to click on my pencil and edit. And I'm going to use this example as maybe this machine wants to be alerted more than every 500 hours of a service. Maybe it's in a heavy-duty application that you need to do your service every 250 hours or whatever your application calls for. So all these that are pre-assigned, these are recurring services. I can delete what I don't want. Yep, I want to delete it. Or I want to add additional services to assign to this machine so that I am alerted to do this reminder. So that's just one example of how you can customize a profile and assign it to your machine to be specific for your application.
Richie, Marty would like to know what is the criteria for light load versus high load as we're monitoring that utilization?
That's a great question, Marty. It's dependent upon the engine RPMs and the actual torque on the machine, and it varies from machine to machine. So to give you an example, I will open up a profile, and forgive me if this is not the specific machine that you're looking for, but under my status profile, we are going to just look. I will search for a wheel loader. I've got a nice 921 behind me, so I'm going to think about him. Wheel loader G series. I'm going to view it, and these are the criteria that tells me what is what. So for an example of workload, these criteria have to be met for it to report and work. Of course, this is editable. We can change this specifically to your application, and if we just assign that wheel loader profile to that machine, Marty, this would be the criteria that would instigate it's in work mode.
Richie, Sandy would like to know, how can I check machine hours by serial number for an individual machine?
It's a great question, Sandy. We can actually look at the individual machines under my settings tab. I can go to my administration and look at equipment. And unfortunately, I don't have any serial numbers memorized, so I'm just going to pick on this top one right here and pretend this is the machine that you're referencing. When I click on the edit button, it will give me information on my machine right now, and it's telling me those current hours are 52 hours. So I hope that answers your question.
Richie, Nathan would like to know, can you create a list of machines based on a geofence to keep up with machines requiring PM service within your fenced area?
So let me make sure I understand that question, Bill. First of all, we want to create a geofence to know the machines are physically in an area, and then we want to be alerted when maintenance is due.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can do that. You can create a geofence and assign those machines to be inside that fence. You can be alerted when they leave the fence, so if they're inside and go out, you get a notification, or if they're outside and come in, you get a notification. And then you can also assign maintenance profiles to those, and the standard profile will alert you and your dealer as long as you give them access to see your information. An email 50 hours prior to that service needing to be required. So if it's a 500-hour service at 450 hours, an email alert will be sent to everyone in the notification group that this machine is due soon for service.
Richie, Anna would like to know, and I think this is a good thing to point out, is SiteWatch included standard from the factory, and is there a subscription renewal fee? So what are the different ways people can get the new SiteWatch?
Absolutely. So SiteWatch is standard on our ProCare machines and including the tractor loader backhoe. That subscription is a 3-year subscription. That's 3 years from the date of activation. So as soon as we activate that, there's a timer that will click down, and 3 years it will expire. Now we can sell additional subscriptions and piggyback on top of those to ensure that you have uninterrupted service at the point of sale, but we can also extend or renew subscriptions at any given time.
I think, Richie, another good question here from John is, I have a 621F wheel loader that predates ProCare. Can I still get SiteWatch on that machine?
Absolutely, that's a great question. SiteWatch can go onto anything that operates underneath its own power. Granted, a lot of our CASE machines, we have direct plug and play wiring harnesses so that we can plug those in and you're ready to go by installing a modem and an antenna. But machines that are legacy machines or possibly a machine that doesn't have that capability, we have a universal harness that we can wire into the machine so that we can get power and transmit data.
Richie, we do have some members of the press with us today. Arturo from Grading Excavation Magazine would like to know, can the dashboard be accessed by multiple users at the same time?
Absolutely. So we can have multiple users assigned to one company, and they all can log in at the same time and access SiteWatch, whether it be from a computer like I'm doing today, their phone, their tablet, anything that has internet connectivity, they can access SiteWatch.
Glenn, our friend Glenn would like to know, in reporting, can you differentiate or carve out units that have ProCare from units that do not have ProCare?
That's a great question. So in our reporting, it's going to give us just a list of machines. So unfortunately, it's not going to tell us this machine is a ProCare machine or this machine is not. However, we can identify those machines either in the equipment description or in the maintenance profile that you assign to them. We do have a serial number matrix, though, that we can identify which machines built after a certain time have ProCare and which ones do not.
Richie, how long, if the question is, if they prefer the legacy site, how long can they still have access to the legacy SiteWatch dashboard? You know,
that's great. That's a great question. I did identify the button to take us to the new site. Let me identify the button that takes us back to the legacy site. So back on our dashboard in the upper right corner, we have this nice building. If I click on that button, it will take me back to the legacy site that we've been accustomed to for several years. So you can still access your data in a format that you're accustomed to. But in early September, we are going to reevaluate the usage between the legacy site and the new site, and then make a determination at that point when everything will just be on the new site. My opinion, though, the new site is a lot easier to navigate. You can get your information quicker. You can get that intelligent information to the right people. There's not a lot of reasons to continue using the legacy site, in Richie's opinion.
Richie, Shakira Austin would like to know, are we able to remove units from our view whenever SiteWatch has expired, or will we still have to submit this to the engineers to handle?
That's a great question. So since we want to renew SiteWatch, the goal is to have as many customers active with SiteWatch so that they are experiencing the benefits of getting that data. So those machines will still list in your company profile. If you do not want them anymore, we will need to contact support, and they will be able to transfer those off or delete them for you. But the idea is to have that equipment there so that you can contact those customers, renew SiteWatch, sell them on the benefits of having your expertise monitoring those machines along with them.
Richie, Stephen Wheeler would like to know, how does SiteWatch recognize when a service, a PM, or ProCare has been completed?
It's a great question, Stephen. So SiteWatch is only as smart as the information that you put in is the information you're going to get out. So when a dealership or a customer performs that maintenance, I'll go back and show you quick. Let me go ahead and click over to the new site. Boop. When I go to my maintenance tab and I want to list my maintenance, I'm going to, let's just do this machine that's overdue. I won't save it, so that way I don't do anything incorrectly for our marketing machine in Tomahawk. I'm going to click on edit. And here is where a dealer or a customer can go ahead and put in their information. They can set up what service was done. They can close it, they can postpone it, and then they can go ahead and close that service. So I will go ahead and back out of that and cancel it so I don't do any fraudulent services on a machine that is out there.
Richie, Mike Reinhardt would like to know, is SiteWatch offered as standard equipment on compact equipment?
It's a great question, Mike. It is not offered as standard equipment. However, it is in the price book as an optional. So you can have the SiteWatch Telematics modem installed at the factory and then purchase a subscription at your dealership. And they will be able to activate that for you, giving you access to all the fun features of SiteWatch.
Richie, Steve would like to know, how long does SiteWatch save data, and how long will I have access to it?
So SiteWatch saves data on a server for up to 18 months. So you'll have access to the previous 18 months at any given time. If you want anything longer than that, you will need to export those reports like I showed, like we demonstrated earlier, so that you have historical records predating the most recent 18 months.
And Richie, could you clarify just the types and the ranges of alerts that are available to people with SiteWatch?
Sure. So SiteWatch monitors a whole lot of information. We can alert you of any CAN bus information, such as fuel gauge, fuel level, air intake temperature, things of that nature that's being transmitted across the engine controller. We can also monitor and alert you on maintenance. Like I said, the standard is 50 hours prior to the maintenance needing to be completed. We can also alert on the geofencing and the curfew alarms for those unauthorized uses.
And this gets a little bit into ProCare a little bit, but Edward would like to know, does the maintenance plan start with the CASE factory plan? Also, when changing a plan, can you apply that to many machines? I think referencing SiteWatch there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the generic plan, I guess the standard plan, the ProCare PM is every 500 hours. So that is assigned to a machine. It can be assigned to one, or it can be assigned to multiple machines across the fleet. If you want to create your own profile, if I understood the question correctly, yes, you can create your own profile, label it whatever you want, and assign that profile to multiple machines. Hopefully that answered your question.
Mike has another question, and I think it opens up a broader discussion. He's asking, do you have a mobile app? And I think it opens up a broader discussion over what are the ranges of devices and such that you can access SiteWatch on?
Sure. So, short answer, I do not have a mobile app today. We are investigating the mobile application. I personally think that accessing it from a website, and you can access it from anything that connects to the internet, is much easier, is more information than what an app would perform. Many apps that I look at today is a brief iteration of what the actual true desktop website can show you. So I would recommend still just to go ahead and go to CASESiteWatch.com through your phone or your tablet, anything that has internet capabilities. Of course, you can zoom in and zoom out because there's going to be a lot of data that's going to be on that small device, but you can still access and get your information.
Richie, Michael Hart would like to know, when building a weekly report, how do you select multiple companies to show up on the alert report?
So we would have to have multiple companies, we'd have to have separate reports for each company, or we could select multiple machines from the equipment list and have those blended together. But for a clean report, we would need to have two separate reports for two separate companies, just for this, just ease of operation. It's a lot cleaner and a lot easier to digest that information. Maybe there's too many people that some people don't need to see some of the machines in company A versus company B. So rather than getting into that kind of situation, it's just a lot cleaner to pull two different reports for two different companies.
And this is, I would just remind people at this point, we've got just a few minutes left for questions. So if you've got questions, get them on in now. Stephen here would like to know, if a contractor only owns 2 or 3 machines, what advice would you give them in terms of why they still should be interested in telematics?
Excellent. That's excellent. You know, Stephen, whether you're a small contractor that owns 1 or 2 machines or 3, or a large contractor with hundreds of machines in your fleet, having the peace of mind knowing that you're partnered with your CASE dealer and have that expert set of eyes monitoring your equipment maintenance, that's a big peace of mind. You can't be in two places at once, so knowing your machine is not being used for any reason it shouldn't be, it's where it is, and being alerted if it moves. To me, that's a big peace of mind that they can go for anyone that operates equipment, whether it's the smallest contractor all the way up to the largest. And why not utilize your dealer as another fleet manager for you?
Another question from our attendees today: is there a way to hide units that are not active?
I think that kind of goes back to a little bit similar to a question we had earlier. Yes, we can remove those. You would need to contact SiteWatch support, and they can remove those for you so they're no longer visible in your fleet. But as far as the dealership or the customer removing those, we just don't want to have someone clicking something accidentally and having it lost in cyberspace. So the best course of action is to contact SiteWatch support.
Richie, when looking at a unit in equipment, why does it show the satellite configuration as locked?
It's a great question. We have the ability to add a satellite modem to the current modem that we have. If someone were to add that modem so it could be used virtually anywhere on the globe, that would be unlocked. So today we're transmitting everything via cellular technology. Even though it's receiving its location, it knows where it is via GPS, via satellite, it's transmitting over a cellular network. If we were to add that satellite modem on top of the current modem that's installed, then that would be unlocked and we could transmit the data via satellite as well.
I'm gonna, this is another question from Mike. Within the subscription management section, can I purchase or extend my subscription through SiteWatch, or should I contact my dealer to purchase an extension?
SiteWatch subscriptions are sold through the parts department, so you would need to contact your CASE dealer, and they would help you purchase a renewal, and then apply it to your SiteWatch account and renew your subscription.
Excellent, and I'm going to say we've got about time for 2, maybe 3 more questions here. Richie, Dennis would like to understand whether or not telematics can help improve the resale value of his machine.
That's a great question, Dennis. Having that historical data, knowing how the machine was operated, where it was operated, that could be invaluable when you go to remarket that machine, whether you're selling it yourself or you're trading it in for a newer piece of equipment. That equipment, that information, the data that you can access via SiteWatch, it's just another verification of how the machine was operated throughout its life.
Very good, and I think, Richie, this touches on a couple things that we've talked about before, but it's just to reiterate this again. If I have a new skid steer that is not covered under ProCare, how do I get SiteWatch Telematics?
Sure. So let's use that skid steer as an example. If we're purchasing it brand new, it can be installed from the factory. So the modem, the hardware, everything's installed on the assembly line, and it comes to the dealership and we can add the subscription. If it's a machine that's already on the lot or one that you already own, there is a DIA kit, which is dealer installed accessory, which is the modem, the harness, the antennas, everything you need for SiteWatch that can be installed in that machine, and then you can pick a subscription from either 1 to 5 years to monitor that machine.
Again, we're getting into some things that we've talked about a little bit, but there's a area of specificity to this that I think is important. Ray would like to know, he says, I used to be able to go into maintenance and check my entire fleet at once. Can I still do that?
You sure can. When I went into the maintenance tab, and I'll give you a quick example here. I think we have just a couple minutes of time. So when I click on my maintenance, this is giving me a real quick snapshot of where my machines are in the maintenance life. But if I click on list, and I believe this is going to answer your question, I have a list of all the machines in my fleet and where they are in the maintenance life cycle. Whether it's due soon, not due, in progress, or unfortunately, like a couple of these machines, overdue for service. And I hope that answers your question.
And then the last question that we'll take here today, essentially what the question is if they want to engage with their dealer to have a view into SiteWatch, how do they do that?
So the most important thing is to contact your dealer and have that discussion about what SiteWatch can do for you, understanding your operations and how to get SiteWatch. There are many subscriptions that are available, whether it be from a 3-month trial period all the way up to a 5-year service contract for a subscription. Your dealership will be able to help you out with that. And with that, I believe we're just about out of time. So first of all, I would like to thank you for attending. Thank you for the questions. If there are any other questions that we did not get to, we will work together as a team and make sure we answer those questions in an email form. Plus, you'll have an email of this recording sent to you later on today. Speaking of a skid steer, there goes one. You'll have this email, this recording sent to you in an email form later on today. If you have any other questions about this, any other products that CASE offers, please visit your CASE dealer or visit us online at casece.com. And before I leave you, I'd like to share a video with you since Titan was so gracious to host us, and a lot of our conversations have been revolved around partnering with your dealer. We were in South Dakota just a couple weeks ago visiting with a customer who has partnered with their dealer, Titan Machinery, in that location and utilizing Telematics, specifically SiteWatch, to help them be more optimal, be better equipped to handle anything in the field and improve their uptime. So with that, I'll leave this video to you and I thank you.
The project we're on right now is the 281 bridge relocate project. We're relocating our raw water line and distribution line about 18,000 feet. As you can see, we've got some unique equipment.
We have a CX350D, we have two CX210s, we have a 721G payloader, and we have an 1150M dozer that comes behind the project and backfills and packs the dirt in as the last part of the process. And there's never been a day throughout the past year that we get there and that machine doesn't start and doesn't run and doesn't fail. And in the event that there is a breakdown, they're here.
CASE SiteWatch telematics program it's an awesome tool that we have as a dealer and that our customers can use too as a tool. Right now, the way Randall Community Water District is using SiteWatch telematics is basically if there is an issue on the machine, we're about 140 miles from our dealership at this project, so there is a significant travel time. Rather than wasting time, either on the phone with an operator trying to help us diagnose before we send the truck out, or wasting a trip coming out just so a mechanic can run it, and diagnose from there. We can use that tool to help diagnose the machine. And then also where we're using it is even just like service intervals. We've got it set up through our dealer portal where we get a ping or a notification from the system that says, hey, this CX210D or 1150M is due for this PM service. We can then go and call somebody in the field, one of their Buzz, their leading field guy, and say, hey, Buzz, can we send a service truck out to service that machine? On Wednesday, it's going to take about 4 hours. You'll have the machine back, and just use that to communicate with them on keeping their machine serviced, when they're supposed to be serviced, and keeping uptime as high as possible.
The dozer last night had a seal go out. If you notice, by 9 o'clock this morning, it's up and running. So there's no downtime, and that comfortability and reliability that we're not going to have to worry about downtime, without a doubt, is wonderful.